Hi, it's Maura McKeever from Trinity Estate Planning again. I'm continuing my EP 101 series. We've talked about wills, we've talked about dying testate and intestate, we've talked a little bit about probate. So this week I want to talk to you about an alternative to a will, which is a trust. So a trust is a fancy word, and somehow in most people's minds it implies a trust fund. It's actually not what it is. So a trust is very similar to a will in that it allows you to pass on your assets after your death, but the trust can do a lot more things than a will. A trust is essentially an agreement. So it sounds complicated, but it's not. It's an agreement between the person who creates the trust, that's the trust maker, for the benefit of somebody else, and the type of trust I'm talking about, that somebody else is generally the same person who created the trust, and it's administered by a trustee. Again, this is probably not going to come as a surprise, but in the type of trust that I'm talking about, the trustee is the same person who created the trust for the benefit of himself. So why do people like a trust? There are a few reasons. The first reason is that a trust is pretty seamless. Picture a little red wagon. While you're a little kid, you toss your personal items in your red wagon. If you're a little girl, you put a doll in there, you might put some toys, little boys might put in, building blocks, whatever it is, and you keep pulling that wagon around. Those are your things in your little red wagon. The trust is essentially a red wagon for adults. You put assets that you own during your lifetime into that little red wagon. And then after your death, somebody else, a successor trustee, picks up the handle and just keeps going on. It's very seamless. So that's the primary reason that attorneys like it. Two related reasons are that I mentioned in the discussion about probate. Probate can be very, very expensive and time consuming. Generally, a trust allows people to avoid probate. There are some exceptions to this, but in general, a trust allows people to avoid going to the probate court. So that's why people like a trust. Then the next episode, I'm going to talk about a common myth, which is that a trust is only for those trust fund babies and only for the wealthy.